Good evening. Big news today for Dunedin MPs Michael Cullen and Clive Mathewson. They've both been shifted well up in the government pecking order in the new cabinet announced this afternoon by Prime Minister Geoffrey Palmer. Michael Lynch has the details.
With Michael Cullen under the front bench of cabinet, promoted from number 16 to number 7, and Clive Mathewson under Secretary to Helen Clark's big Labour and Health portfolios, they joined Stan Roger as 3 Dunedin MPs with considerable power. It's reward for services rendered for both. They're academics, but have been doing a lot of the spade work in the Labour administration. Clive Mathewson chairing the controversial State Services Committee, and Michael Cullen, one of the budget architects. Dr Cullen is happy with the new setup.
It's a government of Labour unity.
Would you have liked a higher position?
Oh, good heavens, no. I'm extremely satisfied with the position that I've got.
Why?
I don't think I actually have the talent to be a leader of a party. I don't think I have those leadership talents. I think I have talents in the policy development area, but I don't give myself I have certain other talents.
He's even got a cheery word for this weekend's Dunedin National Party conference.
Oh, I certainly hope they get good weather. I see it's turned fine outside, get a nice warm weekend to enjoy Dunedin, and we're always happy to take money off the National Party in Dunedin.
The National Party's gathering in Dunedin is its biggest annual get-together for many years. More than 650 delegates are attending the 3-day conference that will culminate on Sunday with the election of the party president. The interior of Dunedin's refurbished town hall has been given a new look for the occasion. The conference started this afternoon and continues tonight with the leaders' rally. The month-long dispute at the Greggs factory in Dunedin has been settled. Workers earlier picketed the plant trying for a better redundancy settlement for the 90 workers laid off as the company shifts much of its operations to Auckland. Union leaders announced today a satisfactory redundancy had been reached, even though the company refused to offer jobs in Auckland for the local workers. The first 25 workers being laid off finished work today. Greggs has kept only its instant coffee plant in Dunedin, employing 40 workers. Supporters and former patients of Queen Mary Hospital in Hamner have been out on the streets of Dunedin and Invercargill today to oppose plans to close the hospital. The Canterbury Health Board has estimated it would save $3 million by closing drug and alcohol rehabilitation services at the hospital. But today's demonstrators, both here and to the north, argue the hospital must stay open. Kathy Graham reports.
Patients from all over the country have been treated as residents at Hamner Springs. What's concerning them and their families is that 115 beds for drug and alcohol patients would be lost if the hospital's closed. About 70 demonstrators marched through the streets of Invercargill at lunchtime to protest at the closure. They gathered at the Area Health Board office to hear why it should remain open. In Dunedin, a small group of demonstrators gathered in the Octagon to add their voice to the protest.
Some of you people have been through and benefited from the program, and like myself, I believe it would be a great tragedy to close that hospital down.
Supporters in Oamaru and Queenstown were demonstrating today as well.
A great number of the people who are treated there come from outside the Canterbury area, and I think it's the responsibility of government to fund such a national facility.
It's an ancient place of Maori healing. It's like pre-European place of healing, and it's a wonderful setting, and it's just dramatically changed so many New Zealanders' lives. It's got a 60% success rate of people that get through there, and there's over 800 people go through there a year. And for each person that's affected by alcoholism or addiction, at least 10 others are affected. And so the same happens in recovery. When you get better, the spin-offs are for at least another 10 people, so it's cost-effective.
I nearly cried when I walked in the door because I hated myself. I was an alcoholic. And when I got there, the love and attention they gave me, I felt I was the most important person in the world. After then, I thought I was the worst.
Harry, like many others, has chosen to speak out before it's too late. The Canterbury Board will decide next month on the hospital's fate.
An Australian Navy vessel is in Dunedin today. The HMAS Stalwart is here to refuel before heading home to Sydney. On board are midshipmen and midshipwomen who'll be learning about navigation in the Marlborough Sound. The Stalwart is used to supply Australian fighting ships and to provide assistance during disasters. The crew managed to catch last weekend's Bledisloe Cup rugby in Auckland, and before they leave the country will take in the scenery of Milford Sound. Dunedin's renovated municipal tower now has a fresh face. 4 of them, actually. The faces on the clock went back up today. They're the original glass ones, but they have been given a good clean. The mechanism of the clock, which is being restored now, will be replaced in the next few weeks. But don't rely on the time the clock tells, at least until September the 16th, when it's due to be telling the right time. The Otago Art Society unveils its South Island painting competition tomorrow. With $3,500 in prizes, the standard of competition is high. Otago Daily Times cartoonist Garrick Tremain is judging the event, and Kim Hurring visited him as he narrowed the field down to the top 5 entries.
It's, for me, a particularly excellent piece of watercolour painting in composition, in tone and in colour. It says a lot. It pleases me very much.
Well, what about this one, Garrick?
Very, very similar comments to make about this painting from the last one. Likewise, it's strongly representative of South Island. Landscape, but a beautiful piece of watercolour, very competent and full of light. I think the treatment and this very simplistic treatment of light works very well in it. Lovely. This is a painting that appeals to me immensely. I think it's a very bold piece of work. Lovely, simple but clear colour in it. It says very strongly Dunedin Harbour to me. That particular painting appeals to me immensely as the play of light on the landscape. I think is extremely well handled in it. Areas of the painting I think probably treated a little nervously, but I can forget that because of the cleverness of the composition. I think it's very cleverly handled, the way the concentration of light and the landscape in the centre of the painting has left the foreground very, very simplified, but at the same time some lovely colour and texture left there, just enough to interest you but not enough to interfere with the main statement.
This one's actually quite different, Garrick. Why is this one of your top 5?
It's a painting that I just keep coming back to. I was attracted to it immediately, but it's kept pulling me back time and time again. I like the strength of it. It's not a painting that is particularly distinctively South Island, but as I say, I've by and large put that to one side as long as they are South Island subjects, and this is. I like the colour of it. I like the strength of it. I find it very appealing.
And the best of those 5 painters will win $1,500 when the Mainland Products Painting Award is announced tomorrow night. Have a great weekend, take care, and we'll be back on Monday. Good night.